Earlier this week, I posted this photo of El Cap on Instagram and Twitter, and it kind of took off a little bit, which was really cool. I got a lot of comments and messages asking how I created this image in the first place, because, spoiler alert, it's not actually just one image. So in this video, I'm going to unpack exactly how I shot, stitched together, and edited this analog panorama? We're gonna call it a panologue. But really quickly, before I actually jump into that technical breakdown, I just wanna let you know that this same image is available for print as well. You can find my Picktime art gallery linked in the top of the description, and if you want to support the channel or just hang this image in your home, you can totally buy a print of this. And if you stick around until the end of the video, you can also get a 25% discount for your order, so stay tuned. Okay, so first off, some technical context. Like I already kind of alluded to, this one image isn't just one image, but actually 9 medium format images all stitched together. All of these images were shot handheld at 2.8 at 1/60th of a second on Gold 200, which I metered for box speed. I then scanned all 9 of these negatives with a Canon R5 and a Mamiya 120mm vintage macro lens adapted to the R5. With all of that being said, let's actually jump into Lightroom now and see what I did in post to convert the negatives and also stitch all of them together. Okay, so now that we're actually in Lightroom, you can see all 9 of these images are in my gallery, still as negatives. They haven't been converted to color yet. So to do that, I use Negative Lab Pro, which is a plugin that you can use in Lightroom. And in order to maintain consistency across all of these images, I'm going to Command select all of them, and then pull up Control N, which will launch Negative Lab Pro. Over here you can see that it's offering to convert all 9 negatives instead of just one, so I'm gonna do that. And while this is converting everything, the reason I'm doing all of them at the same time is because I am going to stitch them as a panorama, and I want to maintain color consistency between all of them. So syncing the same conversion across all 9 of the images is really important, just so there's no weird color shifting as Lightroom is trying to assemble all of these images together. Awesome, so now that all 9 of these images are actually color converted, before we can merge them, I'm actually going to select all and export them as JPEGs first. If you want to understand why I'm exporting them as JPEGs first, you can check out this video right here, which is the first video that I made about panoramic medium format film photography, and kind of go over some of the technical complications that came with stitching film images in Lightroom. So in this folder right here, I've already brought the new exported JPEGs into Lightroom. And now that they're JPEGs, we can select all of them, right-click, go to Photo Merge, and select Panorama. So great, okay, perfect, just like that. Not quite. So as you can see over in the corner, there's a few different options for how you can merge your images together. There's spherical, cylindrical, and perspective. For this image in particular, cylindrical will be the best option, but because of the distortion of the lens and the way that I photographed it, I'm actually going to select the fill edges option as well, just to flatten out some of the areas that I missed when I was taking those 9 images. So that's looking pretty good as it is right now, so I'm going to select Merge. So now that the panorama is merged successfully, there are a few things that I want to kind of edit out, because while Lightroom is really good at merging panoramas and it's very easy, it doesn't always do a perfect job, and there are a few things that need to be smoothed out and clone stamped over because it kind of got a little weird as it was merging things. So in order to do that, we're gonna right-click the merged image and then go to Edit In and then open up Photoshop. Now, I'll be honest, I already did the whole clone stamping process for this, and I don't really want to do it again. But to give you an idea of what I am actually going to clone out, you can see here, I'll just zoom in across the image a little bit. You can see some little weird artifacting over here on the water. It multiplied the grass a couple of times to try to fill that bottom left edge in. If you zoom in really far, actually, you can see, for whatever reason, Lightroom chose to put part of El Cap right there in the water. And there's a little, actually a tripod leg that unfortunately was in the field of view when I was taking this photo. And even up here too, there's a bit of a weird stitch line in the edge that it was filling in. So, you know, when you do a panorama in Lightroom, I think it's always good to just get pretty zoomed in on it and to just work through it, bring it into Photoshop, clean up some of those stitch lines just to make sure your final image is exactly what you want. So we're gonna pretend that I did all of that clone stamping and smoothing all over again and just go back to Lightroom real quick, and I will show you the end result right here, which is a TIFF that I brought back in from Photoshop. Now with this TIFF, I'll actually just reset it real quick to the way it looked straight out of Photoshop. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't do any color tweaking or adjusting for any color casts that I was getting in the image when I was in Negative Lab Pro, because I just wanted things to be very neutral and even across the board so that the image could actually stitch in the first place. But now that we have the image stitched and cleaned up and looking the way we want it to look, now is when we can actually start to tweak the color a little bit more. And for example, I really just added a little bit of warmth in the midtones and saturated the image just a little bit more to get this end result right here, which is the photo that I shared on Twitter and Instagram in the first place. All that weird artifacting in the water is gone. The grass that it duplicated in the water is gone as well. There's no weird stitch lines on the edges of the image, which is awesome. And we're just kind of left with a really nice, clean image of El Cap, which is the exact image that I had in mind when I attempted to take this panorama. So that's basically it. That's how I created this panoramic panalog image of El Cap in Yosemite earlier last week. I'm so happy with the results of it, and I plan on doing a lot more within this realm of film photography on the channel. So if you want to follow along with my work that I'm doing, you can check out my Instagram below. And if you want to subscribe to the channel and like this video to spread the word on what I'm doing here, I'd be pretty happy about that as well. And also, because you stuck around to the very end of this video, you also get the discount code that I mentioned earlier, which I'm realizing as I'm saying this right now, I haven't actually decided what the name of the discount code is gonna be. So it's Free Solo 25. Free Solo 25.
It's a niche joke.
It's a niche joke, but if you get it, let me know. Have you seen Free Solo? Do your hands sweat as much as mine do when I watch that movie? It's very intense. Anyway, thank you again for watching the video. Thank you for supporting the channel if you do choose to buy a print, and I'll catch you in the next video.